Oh, hello and welcome. President Akufo-Addo releases the list of 112 MMDCE, and well, they're going to go to the districts to get their final selection, and it's good news. For, the president said he was in a great hurry, and indeed he's showing that he's in a great hurry for such a short period to get all this team working. However, there are areas who are not happy with the candidates that are being chosen for them. Once upon a time, wherever you are, you're a Ghanaian. And my own favorite, Colonel Menyenla, went to Koforidua, had no relations there or no lineages there, even though he was from the north, and performed miracles for Koforidua. And today they can boast of having a Koforidua that Colonel Menyenla was one of the pioneers. However, today, if you're going to be sent to a district and you're not from that district, they're all up in arms saying, no, we want somebody who's local. Why from that phenomenon? Why is it like that? Well, maybe we're yet to find out. But my name is Nanan Sakwa the Fourth. I'm your host. This is PM Express. Don't go away. We're coming straight back. Well, thank you very much for staying. And just as I said, DC's names have been mentioned, and it was very much anticipated within Jamine. Once upon a time, we heard that there were like between 15 and 19 names that were put forward to people who were interested in the DCE position. Finally, Mr. Ajikum got it, and let's say congratulations to Mr. Ajikum for being nominated as the DCE for the Jamine district, and I'm sure various areas. So there are those who are happy and there are those who are upset. But those who are upset are mainly two reasons. One, he is not from here or she's not from here, or two, when we were campaigning, he was not on the forefront. How should he or she come and eat the pie when it's cooked? We'll hear some of the SOTs, some of the videos from people from this area. We hear from Hajia Alima Mahama, Peter McMenu, and all this. So stay tuned, let's hear what they said, and then we'll take it from there.
We are currently on the street demonstrating because a certain woman has been appointed, Hajia Aisha Seidu has been appointed as the Municipal Chief Director for the Several constituency. We people in the Several constituency are aggrieved about this nomination because we have every reason to believe that she doesn't deserve to be our Municipal Chief Executive. Simply because during the time of the campaign, she never surfaced in the municipality. Everybody was seen, every woman, every child was seen, parading on the street, doing campaign, making sure that the MPP comes to power. Now that the MPP is in power, the people that we believe, they have suffered and that they can equally do the job just like her, have been sidelined. And for us, we feel that they have betrayed us. And so for this reason, we are here to demonstrate, to show to our anger, okay, to the nomination of this particular woman. So we don't support. The people are outraged. As you can see, people are holding cutlasses. They are ready to burn down houses for what they have just done. And so that is just why we are here. At least Mr. Al-Hassan Imoro of Gushe, the current treasurer of the constituency, is there. She is competent. I mean, he's competent enough to do the job. Okay, Mr. Buzaza is there from Pongtamal. He's competent enough to do the job. Mr. Baba Bunglong, okay, the vice secretary is there. He's competent enough to do the job. There are so many, even myself, as I speak to you right now, I can equally do that job. Okay, demonstration. Yeah, nothing is done about it. What will you do? This is not just the beginning. This is just the beginning. This is not the end. We will burn down houses. We will burn down party paraphernalia. We will burn down offices. And in fact, I must say that we will issue a statement. Nana Akufo-Addo is going to have a share. Okay. Why are you demonstrating? Nana Akufo-Addo is going to have his share in 2020. We are just warning him. The
have been growing tension and agitations in parts of the country over the appointment of MMDCEs. So far, the 4 Metropolitan Chief Executives for Accra, Kumasi, Sekandi, Takoradi and Tamale received overwhelming votes from almost all assembly members. But in the case of municipal and district chief executives, angry supporters of the new Patriotic Party in the Boku West constituency of the Upper East region on Tuesday evening vandalized their party office and some departmental offices in the Zibila district over the alleged appointment of Victoria Ayamba as the district chief executive for the area. At Elubo in the Jumoro constituency of the Western region, some youth were on the heels of the MP, claiming he had deceived them after promising to ensure that their preferred candidate gets nominated. In the Greater Accra region, Tema and Ashaiman chiefs and some supporters have already issued a stern warning that they will not support and work with anyone who is not an indigene of the area. Some even accused the Greater Accra Regional Minister, Ishmael Ashiti, of alleged lobbying for a relative to fill the position. With the official announcements now coming from the presidency, the local government minister, Haji Alima Mahama, believes the tension will be reduced. She called for calm and support among party members.
These are capable men and women with expertise, experience, and temperament to head the assemblies and inspire a new era of rapid development in our country. This is the time for solidarity and focus on overcoming the great challenges that confront our nation, so we can build together the prosperous and thriving Ghana we all desire.
Chairman of the committee, Peter McMenu, condemned the actions of party faithful displeased with the president's choice. He says the law enforcement agency must deal with anyone found culpable of violating the law in the name of registering displeasure at the appointments.
First, let me condemn the action of Zibila MPP group who did that. I expect the police, this is to act, and this is a criminal offense, and it has no color, whether you are MPP or NDC or whatever. Takoradi and Accra. It was a difficult job. I myself was surprised, for example, at the quality of educational material certificates that people brought on board, masters, PhDs, medical officers, etc. Okay, so it made the job quite difficult, but there was considerable, extensive consultations in the various districts, the district assembly members, the chiefs and queen mothers, the opinion leaders, the party machinery at the constituency and regional levels, the council of state members. So we tap deep into a lot of knowledge of people in the various districts to be able to have an idea. And then during the interviews, which was also done at 3 levels, at the district level, at the regional level, and at our level, we're able to know who could perform the task ahead as a district chief executive.
The next hurdle for these nominees is to secure 2/3 of assembly members' vote as approval to occupy the office. Matilda Humaga for JoyNews, Accra.
Well, so that's the incident. What's happening? Victoria Ayamba has been appointed the DCE, and people of Zambila are saying no way in hell. And you can see the vandalism that they have caused in protest. What a new phenomenon. One wants to ask whether the government should back down and heed to the people, or put your foot down and say, no, this must stop. And the difficulty is, where is the turnaround? But let's go to the phones and speak to Albert Sorry, who's in the Upper East, to give us an insight of what's going on there. Hello, Albert.
Hello, Nana.
Albert, how are you doing?
I'm doing well.
Very, very well. Albert, bring us to date as to what's going on there. Are the people really that serious? I mean, the extent to which they have gone to reject this lady, what could she have done so wrong?
Well, it is unclear what really the problem is that they have, but what they have made clear is that they prefer someone else to this woman being their district chief executive. And that is why they demonstrated yesterday. In Zebila, last night, they did this demonstration and vandalized this property, mainly because they got a hint of who had been chosen as the district chief executive even before the names came out later today. And that is why they carried out, this vandalization of property. But in the Bursa North District as well, in Sandema, when the names were announced today, the youth there also agitated and they destroyed some property at the local party office there. What is happening there too is that one David Afoko, has been nominated, and they are protesting that this is somebody who, in their opinion, did not contribute in any way to the party's campaign in the run-up to the 2016 election. And so they also think that he doesn't deserve to have been nominated as the district chief executive. So these are the two areas where we've had issues of agitations and riots here in the Upper East region.
I mean, Albert, studying the ground, what's the trend now? Is it looking for one who's competent or one who campaigned?
If you listen to what these youth are saying, really they don't argue about competence. A lot of the argument is more about who has worked hard for the party and, for that matter, deserves to be rewarded with, an appointment of a district chief executive position. But they don't really talk about the competence. From the interviews we've had with some of these youth, the issue of competence doesn't come up at all. It's more about who has worked harder enough for the party.
And in all these cases, they seem to have a preferred choice that they would have wanted.
Yes. In Zebila, we had a number of names, which I cannot immediately recall. In the case of Sandema as well, they just don't think that this person who has been nominated, has worked hard enough. They think that someone else should be given the opportunity because they probably worked harder. But you go down to it, and there are some people, those who don't support these acts, also insinuate that there are other people who were also lobbying for the positions and who did not get the nod, and so are influencing these youth to agitate, in order to create a situation where these people who have been nominated will eventually be removed, and then they can get the opportunity.
I mean, Albert, you are there. If you look at the scenes and you look at the agitations, do you think it's strong enough for, the president to back down and say, well, if you're going to cause this much rout, I'm going to listen to you and give you whoever it is that you want? Or is it one that's not strong enough, it will die down, and so the nominees will remain?
In the case of the Boko West, that is the Zebila incident, for example, it happened last night. And from what we heard, the people who carried out these riots took advantage of a power outage situation to do what they did. And this morning, the Deputy Regional Minister of the Upper East Region, who is also the MP for the area, led a district security council meeting there where they met with the party executives. Some names of people who may have been involved in doing this were mentioned, but the police commander said that after the time they were given the names, these youths could not even be found in the area, apparently because they are hiding from police or they are trying to escape possible arrest. So for now, the situation there is calm. In Sandema, after some time, after they carried out the damaging of party property, the youth later decided that they would come to Bolgatanga, where the regional minister is, to send him a petition which they did. And their request was that they want Mr. Afoko, who has been nominated, they want his appointment revoked within the next 1 week. So these are the demands they are making, but as whether they would be listened to is another matter altogether.
Numbers-wise, are they significant enough? I mean, are they, or it's just a handful of people causing mayhem?
Well, in Zebila, for example, the police said that they were giving names of 10 people. You know, so that is the number they have as far as the people, you know, they suspect carried out these attacks are concerned. In the case of the Busa North area as well, it was also just a sizable number of youth. The number wasn't too huge.
And how worried are the law-abiding citizens? I mean, how worried are they? Are they sitting back thinking, well, it's just one of those political things, or they're just thinking, you know, how have we degenerated to this level?
Well, a lot of people are worried. In 2013, we had similar situations when the former president, John Mahama, was elected, and some DCs were nominated, and there were agitations. What eventually happened was that a lot of them, when they eventually got to the assemblies where the members were supposed to vote to endorse them, eventually got rejected. And so it created a situation where it appeared that if you had money and you were interested in being a DCE, then you could influence some of the assembly members to vote to reject the person who has been nominated, and then you can get that opportunity. So this time around, we are hearing such conversations going on, because some people think that these youth are not just taking the law into their own hands and risking being arrested for nothing, and that some people, you know, some party bigwigs who may also be interested in the DCE position are influencing them to carry out these acts.
Thank you very much, Albert, for that insight. If anything at all, we'll come back to you again. Well, so that was Albert Sorry, Niapa East. But for those of you who don't, let me give you a rundown of how it's broken down. If you go to the Ashanti region, they have 1 metropolitan, they have 7 municipalities and 22 districts. And then if you come to the Brong Ahafo region, they have 8 municipalities and 19 districts. The Central region has 1 metropolitan, 6 municipalities, and 13 districts. In the Eastern region, 7 municipalities and 19 districts, including Esujamai, where I am from. Esujamai, where I am from, Dumasan falls within the Esujamai district. And indeed, I've called the DCE to congratulated him and, you know, wished him all the best in the days ahead. You know, to him much is given, much is expected. And then if you look at the Greater Accra has 2 metropolitan assemblies. It has 7 municipalities and 7 districts within Accra. And then we have the Northern region, 24 districts, 1 municipality, and 1 metropolitan assembly within the Northern region. We'll be going to the Impoho district to speak to Francis Waga. I'm sure as soon as he's ready, production will alert me, and then we'll be going to the Impoho district to talk to Francis. Oh, Francis is on the line. Let me go to Francis. Hello, Francis.
Yeah, hi, Nana.
Hi. Francis, give us an insight. How about you? Are you guys welcoming your DC with open arms?
Well, in Impoho now, there's a bit of calm, but you want to describe that calmness in Impoho now as an easy calm, because there's still some undercurrent down there, although the folks there have now relaxed with the demonstration and all that. Now, In Mpoho district, 2 names were submitted to be considered for the position of the DCE. They were in the presence of Ignatius Assam Mensah and then George Bernard Shen. Well, apparently, most of the MPP folks down there were in support of George Bernard Shen, but as the list came out today and as we got to know, it was Ignatius Assam Mensah who has been nominated by the president for that position. Well, what most of the MPP folks in Mpoho are saying is that the MP for the area, Alexa Jokum, is the one who rooted for Ignatius Assam Mensah to be nominated for that position. And so they are vehemently against that, and they will never allow it. They were even opposing it prior to the announcement of Ignatius Assam Mensah as the DCE. So that is what's happening for now. The MP, when I spoke to him, denied it, that he was behind the choosing of Ignatius Assam Mensah as the nominee for the DCE. He said in any case that he is not an appointing authority, and so he did not influence that decision in any way. So, like I said earlier, there's a bit of calm, but you want to describe it as an easy calm because the folks down there are still not too happy.
I mean, it's a trend that's developing. How does the nominee himself feels if you've been nominated to go to an office and people who are supposed to welcome you are so angry and unwelcoming? I mean, how are they feeling? I don't know if you had the chance of interviewing them.
Well, for the nominee, the news of his appointment or the news of his nomination as the DCE from Mpoho came today. He's yet to meet the party folks. Well, he understands the fact that obviously there will be some few persons who will be disgruntled, or a few individuals who will feel that they deserve it, or a few individuals who obviously might belong to the camp of George Bernard Shen, the other person who was also nominated. And so, yes, he understands this internal party politics, and he will attempt to deal with it. Now, interesting to note is that it is not the Mpoho district in its entirety and that is kicking against him. He feels that it's just a few party folks in there who think he should have gone the other way around. And so once the dust settles, he will deal with these issues.
The other thing is, are they, I mean, is Ignatius an indigene of Mpoho?
Ignatius Assam Mensah, as well as George Bernard Shen, are all indigenous of the area. But when I was speaking to the people, the party folks, one thing that I picked is that Ignatius Assam Mensah hails from the town of the MP, and that is Alexa Jokum, who is an NPP MP. And the little politics they want to play into it is that virtually the small appointment that have come up in the district so far since the NPP won power have come from the hometown of the MP, and they feel that Bernard Shen, who has been with the party all this while, has not been treated fairly.
I mean, Francis, I don't know if you've picked this this trend where people are more concerned about where your mother's kitchen is as to how much more you can put in. So he's not from my town, she's not from my town. Rather than no, this is his track record or this is her track record, and therefore they are capable.
And I didn't hear the early part of your question. I'll be glad if you will come again.
Yeah, I said, have you noticed that we are more interested in where your mother's kitchen is, i.e., this person comes from this village, he comes from that village, rather than, look, this is his track record, he built that school, he built that church, he constructed that road, he formed this committee. That you don't hear much of that. It's more where you come from.
Well, if I get a question, you're asking if I've noticed that this is a trend where people are more concerned about where you come from, and that they are not really concerned about what you can do, but rather where you come from. Yes, of course, Nana. And this is not the first time. I mean, it has happened here in the Western region over and over and over. What has happened in the last few hours when this list came out is either a couple of congratulatory messages coming from party folks in a particular district congratulating the DCE, or saying that no, we do not agree with this person because we feel that he's not an indigent, we feel that he doesn't come from here, we feel that he's being imposed on us, irrespective of the qualifications, irrespective of the intellect, irrespective of whatever they can put on the table. So yes, it is a trend that I have observed. It is a trend that it is still ongoing, which, if you ask me, judging from what I've seen over the last few years, I'll say is worrying.
Like you said, the calm is there. You think it will start simmering again tomorrow, or it will die down for good?
Well, and I would say that what needs to be done very fast. Now, if you take a situation like the second Patriotic Metropolitan Assembly, you know, the four metropolis had their nomination quite earlier. I think about a month ago, before the DC, that of the DCs and the Municipal came out. Now, in second Patriotic, there were three main contenders. We had one pharmacist lady, and then we have the regional secretary of the NPP, Charles Bishop, and then we have KK Sam, who was considered as a party grassroots man. In the event, in the final event, KK Sam was nominated. He received massive endorsement of 99.8%. Now, what happened to the two? Big question. The other candidate, who is the NPP regional secretary, is now a presidential staffer. And so folks on his side who probably might have felt that our candidate couldn't get a nod, you know, has been given to KK Sam, and he has stood as the party secretary as well to make sure that the NPP won majority in the Western region, will now be a bit okay, because they feel that, okay, our candidate has been sorted out. So if you want to ask what can be done so as this problem will not rear its head tomorrow, or I would say that what needs to be done must be done as early as possible, because obviously George Benediction is not a stranger. He's been with the party in the district all this while. The people know him, they love him. And so what needs to be done must be done as early as possible. And let me quickly add that in the case of Second Metropolitan Assembly, what I saw was that KK Sam was more of the party people. He was a grassroots folk. And on the day of his nomination, when he visited the STMA, it was more like a party for NPP folks. Virtually everybody, from the regional chairman to the last person you could find in the party, was there. And so we were likely to have seen what is happening in Mpoko right now had the appointment not gone to KK Sam, but if he had gone elsewhere. And I think that we are witnessing something now in Mpoko, because Benediction is seen as a more grassroots person, or a grassroots man. So what needs to be done to sort the other party out as quickly as possible needs to be done, because, like I said earlier, it is calm restored for now, but it is an uneasy calm.
Francis, before I let you go, how come the Metropolitan, the mayors are, sailing through with no problems, but the district ones are struggling?
And I'll be glad if you come again with your question.
The Metropolitan, the quote-unquote, the mayors, the Accra, the Kumasi mayors, they seem to sail through quite, easily. But then the district, the DCEs are struggling.
Yes, and you realize that it took a lot of time before the announcement of the Metropolitan Assembly mayors came out. What I want to believe is that lots of consultations might have gone on. If you take Second Patriotic Metropolitan Assembly, STMA, for instance, we had lots of names. We had lots of them, including the former mayor under Kufuor's regime, who was in power for 8 years. We had several names, and then finally, 3 were shortlisted. And like I said, it appears some homework were done very well before the final list came out. So I want to believe that, yes, some good homework was done before the list of, I think the 4, Tamale, Kumasi, Accra, and Takrady, came out, because we didn't hear much of such agitations. And even for the STMA, I mentioned earlier, he scored 99.8. It was because one person was absent and didn't come. So chances are, even if that person had voted, he was going to score 100%. So yes, I would give credit to the fact that probably much more detailed homework was done, because we also want to lose sight of the fact that even before this list came out, we had several allegations flying in the air. Some thought that forms were being sold, they were trying to put their favorites through. People who are thought for the party were being ignored, and so I'm not really surprised at the reactions that is coming from the Western region and other parts of the country.
I see. But the other thing is, I mean, they have the last hurdle to go as to if they get to the district, they're now going to go through, their voting and their selection. So I guess if you're meeting this challenge, you're probably out of the race, or, it's not going to be very easy for them.
Absolutely. It is not going to be easy, but I guess what they can hope against is the fact that if you have, say, an electoral area of 42 assemblymen or 60 assemblymen or 50 assemblymen, and then you get an endorsement of 70% or 80%, irrespective of the few dissenting views or the few who feel that they are not okay with the nomination. If you get a massive support of the assemblymen who have what it takes, plus the government appointees who have what it takes to endorse you, if you get a majority, yes, you can still manage your way around it, go through it, and now come back and then deal with the expectations of the few who think that they are not treated fairly.
Well, thank you very much there, Francis. Thank you very much for that insight. We're going to take a quick break, and then when we come back, we'll go to the phones. And then with the phones, what I want to hear from you is this tribal sentiment in all these positions. Is it taking over common sense? And what should the president do, or what should any government in charge do? Put your foot down and say, no, listen, he is confident or he is competent and he can do the job, and therefore I'm posting him or her to District A or District B. Because once upon a time, when you had all these commissioners, they were not necessarily from the areas they went to, but they did extremely well and left fantastic legacies, which you and I enjoy today. And I'm telling you that Koforidua was one of that example. Kenya Minyala was the commissioner then, and he did fantastic work. Can that trend continue, or should you come from that district? We'll definitely get to the phones and hear what you have to say. Stay tuned. We're coming straight back. This is where you get to join in, and let's hear what you have to say. And the number is 0262 088857. So it's 0262 088857. The number again is 0262 088857. Call and let's see if maybe you're one of those who believe that, listen, if we are in Akwamu and we're going to have a DCE, he must come from here. Or you're from the school of thought who say, no, whoever is fit enough, let them do the job. Do I have anybody on the phone? Okay. Hello, let me go to the phone and speak to Frederick Odro. Hello, Frederick.
Good evening, Mama.
Good evening, MC. Frederick is, independent. For this evening, he's going to be an independent governance analyst. Frederick, there's this new trend developing where once DCs are posted, people get upset saying that either he did not work hard enough during the campaign or he doesn't come from here. Is it a normal government trend, or?
It's something that seems to be creeping into our political system, and it's not acceptable. Because it goes to the very core of the responsibility of the president. The power to appoint the chief executive is the sole possession of the president as of now. And although we've heard that the MPP party supported the presidency by vetting people and all that, at the end of the day, if you look at the legal framework, it is the president who has the sole possession of appointing a district chief executive. So people should accept this, and indeed, if they respect the president, they should back off what they are doing. It's not acceptable. But it all comes back to the kind of politics we are having in our country. I can even go as far as equating it to the indiscipline that gave this group the invisible forces the power to think they can influence decisions of government by insisting this the way we want it done. So nobody has the power, not the MPP party, not any other person, not the regional chairperson, the constituency chairperson of the party. Is the sole prerogative of the president, and he has every right to exercise it anyhow he wants it. And nobody can question that decision. The best they can do is to lobby the president, but it cannot force the president to change his mind. So I think this message should be ground home to the people who are misbehaving. It is totally wrong, unacceptable, and some of the actions, as we get in the reports, border on criminality. And I believe the state institutions, particularly the police, should rise up and arrest all those people misbehaving on our streets, turning ties, attacking party property and private properties of MPs and all that. It is totally unacceptable.
Frederick, does this reinforce the idea of electing, DCEs?
Absolutely. I think one of the key ways of overcoming the problem is to elect the district chief executives. If we do that, it will take that power out of the hands of the president. Mama, the way our constitution is fashioned, we put too much power on the presidency. And I think it's becoming a burden for us in view of the kind of politics we have, where one person has the power to appoint so many people. And then in our part of the world where meritocracy is not seen as something we should aspire for, and that people would want to see that, let me fight for my party to be in power and I can get access to everything from employment to making money. We need to stop this, and we have to start shifting some of the powers into other bodies that can use some level of meritocracy to appoint people into key positions. Otherwise, we won't overcome this problem. And I'm very happy that Nana Addo, so far as the president, has kept on working towards the election of this chief executive. And I ask myself, some people are going to be in this position for a year or two, and there might be an election for the chief executives. So why are we fighting over something that is so short in nature if the expectation of the government should go through?
The other thing you probably just touched on it, but I want you to be fair. Should the government back down, because at the end of the day, this is somebody you are putting in an area who should be able to work with the people. If he's been rejected, do you back down or do you stand firm and say, no, he's the one I've given to you, whether you like it or not, work with him?
Mama, I think if the government should back down, it should be conceding defeat to people who don't have the power to do what they are doing. Some of these people are acting, I believe strongly, based on what are supposed to be people who want to get these positions and are not getting. And they think they can use their goons to influence or to compel the president to give them the positions they couldn't get through the normal channel. So backing down will show the presidency as weak. So I don't think they should back down. However, it does not preclude the government from engaging with their base, particularly the party structures, to consider some of the views. I believe maybe a couple of the people may have genuine issues, but then the way they are going about it cannot be accepted under any shape or form.
The voting aspect of DCE, I mean, one of the problems we have now is this tribalistic thing. He's not from here, he's not from here. If we leave it and every district should go out and vote, aren't we going to really entrench this tribalistic thing where, I mean, probably if you're not even from the area, you dare not even go and stand?
That is a danger I think we are getting ourselves into. And indeed, it's not only tribal, there's also some gender undertones going on. But on purely the tribal line, I think it's very unfair unfair and very wrong for some people to start agitating. Yes, I can understand that. You go into particular communities and maybe an MP has won who is from one side of the constituency. Mind you, some of our constituencies are made up of several, you can have a number of paramounts. You can even have a constituency being made up of diverse ethnic groupings and all that. However, that does not take the power to appoint from the president. And I think anybody who attempts to subvert the power of the president actually is called, I mean, in a far-fetched situation, it can be seen as a treasonable offense, because here is the constitution that has given a power to the president, and somebody sits in their communities saying, I will not accept this individual or that individual. Sadly, I've even heard a chief speaking on, I believe it was on Joy FM today. I believe so, saying he will not accept an individual and that he is not going to be responsible for whatever happens now that they have announced all this. And I ask myself, there is irresponsibility on the part of that chief to come out to say this. And I think we must all rise up and support the government in ensuring the right thing is done. Now, on the gender aspect, you may not have asked me, but I'm very, very unhappy that already the number of women, as by my last count, I think it was 36 or so, the number of women appointed into as district chief executives is about 36, which is woefully inadequate. And you realize a number of the people being rejected are women. And I ask myself, how can these people behave like this? In this our modern time, at the time that we are all hoping and praying that more women will be appointed, we are getting people, chiefs, rising up to say that I'm not accepting this woman, I'm not accepting this person. So the tribal tones, the gender issues in there, I think all the right-thinking members of the society must rise up and speak against it. Otherwise, today it is happening to one section of the society, we are keeping quiet. The next time it will happen to all of us. So we must all rise up and condemn the act to no uncertain terms. Rather, I would have even hoped, if I was hoping the number of the women being appointed as DCs wouldn't have been less than 80. And here, what are we getting? About 36. And already about three or four are being attacked even before they subject themselves to the approval procedure. And I think it is not right.
It's a very sad phenomenon, but you are the government expert. So what's the procedure? Once the president mentions you and you go into the district, what are the next procedure to finally get your bottom on the seat?
I believe the first is to be more engagement. There is going to be a lot of engagement, much more engagement must be done. The presidency must use the traditional setup, the party setup, use opinion leaders from the various communities. I would be very sad to see the president withdrawing an appointment just because of hooligans coming out on the streets to say we're not going to accept that individual. However, I believe as a measure of resolution, we need to do a lot more consultation. And then those who have acted illegally, especially the criminals among them, those who have gone out to burn public properties and private properties, should be arrested and dealt with strictly by the security services. And those who are also threatening must be condemned openly. We shouldn't keep quiet about these things. I was shocked to hear a chief coming out to say that if something happens, what should happen? After somebody has been given the power to exercise, comes out to announce somebody as a chief executive. But we need to do, the presidency must do a lot more engagement. They need to talk to their party leadership, and especially the youth groups. Unfortunately, I think this is not a happy time for the youth leader of the new Patriotic Party, he must be doing a lot of work because, unfortunately, most of these people are being used. And sadly, they are being used mainly for parochial interest. It is coming out from people who must have paid, who have been paying people to go out to project them, and because they failed, they refuse to accept it. But now, whatever happens, the president cannot appoint 2 district chief executives per district. It is only one person who is going to be accepted. And if this is going to be the behavior, I was quite happy when they started with the metro assemblies, and they all approved their people already. As we speak, there is a major problem with our local government system, particularly with the approval of chief executives. And lots of shenanigans go on before people are approved. And as bad as that was, we're going to muddy the situation with these hooligans and criminals coming out to say that we are not accepting this or we are not accepting that. And it must not be correlated. So I believe the government must put its foot down and stamp out this thing once and for all.
Fred, thank you very much for that insight. Fred Udru is a governance analyst helping us to understand exactly what's going on. And clearly, I'm sure that like a majority of us thinking that, look, it's not right, it's a dangerous trend, and that it should be nipped in the bud once and for all. Well, thank you very much. But I always give you this number before I go, and it's 024 366 2001. Stantis Fashion, they make my shirts for the show. If you want a nice design shirts, make both male and female. It's 024 366 2001. Tomorrow we're back to do this all over again. Thank you very much for watching.